Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast, My First Season. My name is Greg, and in this podcast, I interview travel writers and people who worked for resorts, hotels, cruise ships, and airlines, and we'll talk about their experience in travel and tourism. My guest today and I worked together in Club Med Cancun in 2004-2005, and I was quite shocked to hear that it was her first season when I contacted her previously to ask her about if she would be willing to come as a guest. And she insisted that was her first season. I was beyond shocked, and we're going to get into why I was so shocked in a moment. But everyone, I would like to give a very warm welcome to, calling from Toronto, Miss Shannon. Shannon, what? How are you?
What? Boutique. Hi, Greggy.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for coming on. Like I told you, I was so afraid to reach out for you because if you would say no, so there's certain people that would crush me if they said no. I'm fine with people saying no, but you especially would have crushed me if you didn't want to, which is understandable, but I wouldn't have been able to handle it. So thank you for saying yes.
I'm so happy to be here. I feel honored.
All right, good. So I think you might have listened to a few, so you know how it starts. We're going to ask you to go back in time, but I have a true or false question for you because you mentioned something because I'm from Montreal. True or false? You have 2 degrees from Harvard of the North. Is this true?
True.
Okay, so McGill, as you know, McGill University in Montreal is called the Harvard of the North for some reason, even though Canada doesn't have an Ivy League system. All right. So since I work for Concordia, the rival university, are you able to tell me what degrees you have and why McGill? Is it because you couldn't get into Concordia?
Actually, I did get into Concordia for modern dance.
No.
And I got into McGill
to do a Bachelor of Arts. Wait. Whoa. You're spinning gold here. Back up. You applied to modern dance to Concordia? This is true, right?
Yeah, so I went to an art high school. It's true, of course. I went to
Toronto?
an arts high school. That's right. I double majored in dance and theater. And I applied for 5 universities, only one in fine arts and everything else in arts. I got in to all of them. And then my sister was at McGill at the time. So I definitely knew I was going to go to Montreal. I accepted Concordia. And at the very last moment, after a conversation with my dad about being a fine arts professional and where that could take me in my future, I switched my acceptance to McGill instead of Concordia.
And what did you take at McGill again? Sorry.
So I did I actually did 1 degree in I did a Bachelor of Arts, and I did a double major in American history and sociology and a double minor in anthropology and women's studies.
Good Lord. Thank God thank God for a good dear old dad, huh? Okay.
Exactly.
Wow. All right. So we know you're from Toronto, Ontario. Okay. So and when did you finish your studies? Around what year?
2003 in May is when I graduated.
Okay. So how did you find your way to Club Med? What happened?
Interesting story. I was, like most recent grads, aimless and not sure what I would do. So I was studying for the LSATs and I wrote them and I did well. So I thought, okay, I'll go to law school. That's what I'll do next. I stayed in Montreal. I didn't come back to Toronto. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to spend the summer here in waitress, pick up some shifts and figure out how I want to apply, where I want to go to law school, all that stuff. So after maybe 3 or 4 months of waitressing, I had met someone. She was also a student at McGill, spending the summer in Montreal. And we became friends. And she told me that she did seasonal work as a G.O. in Club Med. I thought it was Copper Mountain, but I'm going to change my mind and say I think it was Crested Butte. So she did one of those ski villages as like a seasonal G.O. And the more she told me about it, the more I was like, I don't want to go to law school. I want to go to Club Med and be a G.O. So I decided that I wanted to be a part of that. So it was so funny because I actually saw an ad. I'm dating myself, but back in the day, I saw an ad in the paper where you could audition to be a G.O. So I went to this audition and they never called me back.
Okay, hold up. Stop. I got to know, did you do a modern dance thing for your audition? Okay, you got to tell me about the audition. What did you actually do on stage?
Oh, I did. And in retrospect, I feel like I embarrassed myself, but it was at a hotel. And
was this, in Montreal? Okay, sorry, go on.
Yeah. And I had prepared, it was to an Alanis Morissette song, and I had prepared a modern dance.
Wait. What song, honey? Give it to me. Don't just ignore that and go on. No. You don't get off that easy.
I was like a little embarrassed.
No. I want to hear the song. Which one was it?
Isn't it ironic?
Okay, perfect. Which, as you know, lyrically made no sense because that's not the very definition of ironic, what she sings in the song. But okay, go ahead. So what kind of dance did you do?
Like, I think a very bad one to a song that did not.
Well, yeah. Okay. No, but okay. It's hard to do. So was it jazz, tap, rap? What were you, ballet? I mean, what kind? Modern? Like what kind of style?
I did a lyrical dance. So modern dance, kind of the same style I would have studied if I went to Concordia.
Okay. Sorry for my ignorance. I've never heard of lyrical dance. What is that?
It's like modern, kind of ballet, but a little less strict.
Okay. All right.
Lots of contractions and expression through your art type of a thing.
Please say someone videotape this. And there's a copy of this out there somewhere. This is like Robin Sparkle's moment, on How I Met Your Mother. So there's no copy.
Totally.
Okay. I'm going to search the internet today. Okay.
Jenny Sparkle.
All right. So you leave. So did you know, did your friend tell you anything like about the hours? Well, Shannon, 7 days, well, maybe 6-7 days a week, Shannon, it's a lot. Or did they tell you this at the audition? Did they give you any insight into anything at the audition? Or did your friend tell you everything you needed to know?
She basically just said it's a bunch of young people working all the time, crazy hours. And it's the most fun you'll have in your life and the best experience. And that was a big sell for me.
Okay. And so you leave the audition and you waited how long to get contact?
Well, so they had given us a name of an effector who was in charge of sending people out of Montreal. And they said, follow up if you don't hear anything in a couple of weeks. And I hadn't heard anything. So I followed up for a year until I think I must have bombed my lyrical dance or something.
Okay. No. Okay. So your interview was in 2003 and now we're in 2004, a year later?
That's right. And I had since moved to Toronto. Okay. Fully abandoned the law school idea and was just really set on going to Club Med. Like, it was in my head and I had this feeling that it would be amazing. So I just was pushing for it. So every month I would contact the effector and say, just following up. It was a real exercise in persistence and tenacity. And I would just say, is there anything for me? And sometimes I got a response. Usually I didn't.
Were you willing to do anything or were you specific about what you wanted to do?
Well, the thing is, Greg, I had no hard skills, really. Like, I wasn't sporty at the time. So the only things you
had the history degree. Come on.
Exactly. I could have bored the guests. Anyways, the one thing I did have experience in was retail. So I had put my name down to be a Boutique G.O. So working in the boutique, and because I had a background in that. So I said I would do anything, but really the only thing I could have potentially done at the time was working in the boutique.
So you hounded them. You're persistent. Mm-hmm. How did you react when you finally got the call?
So it's so funny. I remember this so clearly. I had said to my mom, I'm going to try one more time. And she said, there's still law school. You can still do that. And I thought, okay, maybe this isn't meant to be. Like, I believe that everything happens for a reason. So I messaged the effector and I said, just following up one more time, I'm really hoping, that there's something available. And she called me immediately. So, and there wasn't really a lot of cell phone action at the time. So the home phone rang, I picked it up and she said, can you be in Cancun in 2 days?
And you said, no, wait, I'm going to law school. No.
That's right.
Cancun law school. Yeah, it's a pretty clear choice to me.
That's right. So obviously I was so ecstatic, and it was winter months, I would say, like closer to March. So yeah, like maybe just a little under a year after I had auditioned.
Okay. Wow. Congrats.
Yeah. So go ahead.
No, yes. You probably had no idea what you were walking into because you hadn't met your chief yet, the great Hendel. You'd probably didn't know how stacked the team was because, here's why I find it shocking that you were first season, because I assumed the whole time I knew you there 1 year that you had at least 5 years or more experience at Club Med, because you were so polished, you were so energetic, you got it, you were always there, you're always helpful, you're always smiling, like you were like you figured it. I can't believe you figured out it immediately like that fast in your first season, since none of us were asking everyone back then, hey, where was your first season? And I recently spoke to Joker when you told me that, and he was beyond shocked as well, because I can't think of anyone else where you were that like we were all in awe of you, because wow, this girl must have some seasons under her belt to be this amazing. So this is why I'm beyond shocked that was your first season. I never would have known ever. That's how good you were.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm blushing.
Yeah, no, it's well deserved. And then you joined, and you were part of that amazing team, which Hendel had stacked, if you call all the living legends that were there, So, but you probably weren't aware. You weren't aware, since it was your first season, right? Like what you were walking into. You probably thought that was a normal team, right? I'm guessing.
I did. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but I think that was the best boutique team I had in my 5 years at Club Med. Like it was like you said, like the personalities, the energy. Like I remember being like, oh my goodness, I've hit gold here. Like I am home, when I started working there.
Oh yeah, just a quick question. Had you ever gone to a resort before, like a vacation resort?
No.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Okay. So you're getting set. You're in your first week.
Yeah.
Did you? So you had a good. You had a very good boutique team, if I recall.
Oh yeah.
Becky and who else was on the team there?
Marilyn,
That's
Nancy,
right. Yes.
Adri.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Joelle, who is dating Ross, who is in tennis.
Yeah. Adri was the head of boutique, right? From Brazil.
So when I got there, it was Sophie, but she was only there for like a week because it was the change up of seasons, right? So I was a new G.O. She was the chief of boutique. She gave me my integration for a week, and then Adri came.
You arrived, I guess, April, May, correct?
That's right.
All right, yeah, that's around the time I arrived as well. Okay. Did you experience any kind of culture shock when you arrived at all, or Club Med culture shock? I'll call it.
Totally.
Okay, like what, for example?
Well, first of all, there was just this incredible influx of people speaking French everywhere. And even though I'm Canadian, it was totally different. And you'd sit down at a table and, I just want to point out that
you mean French from France, right? Because you were in Montreal for quite a bit. So do you mean French from France?
That's right. Yeah. So like Canadian high school French does not prepare you to interact with people.
Well, and not only that, you were probably so used to the Quebecois accent when you're studying at McGill that then you have encounter the French accent, which is wildly different, and most words are really different than what we use here in Quebec, correct?
That's true. And some of them, if you mix up the different words, it's embarrassing for you. So there was that. The other thing was, even in my first and second day, like I had a vague idea of what Club Med was based on what my friend had told me, but I wasn't expecting to see people parading through reception in costumes, holding platters of fruit and like singing songs and like fruit passage. Like that was a big culture shock to me. And then going into a Club Med culture shock, or going into the restaurant, and there would be people, dressed up as blackjack dealers, like G.O.s, dressed up as blackjack dealers, or wearing costumes at the entrance of the restaurant. I didn't know that was going to be a part of Club Med.
Did you ever get used to the Speedos, Shannon? So many Speedos.
I miss them.
Okay, because you must have had the odd guy walk into the boutique in just a Speedo, right? I'm sure that's happened. Correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the G.O.s wore Speedos for shows and stuff. Yeah, it happened all the time.
Okay. All right. Did you have any trouble adjusting your sleep schedule, I guess? Like, did you get used to the hours pretty fast?
Yeah. Like I was surprised at how, I think I was prepared to work in the boutique and, do the shows, but I didn't know you had to wake up at like 3 a.m. to do an arrival or a departure
or rehearsals were at 11:30 midnight. I bet you weren't counting on that as well.
No, I wasn't. But, I never blinked twice about it because nobody really complained. It was like, that's what you do. And if you want to be a GO, get in there. And I was like, I definitely want to be a GO. So, I thought of it as something that was kind of like, it was challenging, but it was also, you're with all these other GOs that are in the same boat. And it's like family, doing the stuff you have to do. And it was fun.
Are you one of those first season nerds that ran up to choreographer and beg to be in the shows? And did you mention
Totally.
your lyrical dance number too? Isn't it ironic? God, I so love that you did that, Shannon. Oh my God, this is so amazing.
Please, if you ever find that,
okay, I'm going to the deep, darkest recesses of the internet today. Okay, I'm going to Russia, Uzbekistan. I'm going to find this video.
there weren't smartphones.
Oh, that's true.
Back in the day,
2003, right? Damn it! Oh, too bad it wasn't.
You'll just have to use your imagination.
I have been this whole time we've been talking. Okay. Okay. So did you approach the choreographer or the choreographer approach you?
Well, it's an interesting story because I remember the second night I was a GO, I hadn't met the chief of village, so the general manager, who was Hendel Duplessis, the great, all praise Hendel. I hadn't met him yet, but I remember the girls of the boutique were kind of showing me around, and they said, we have to do the show, wait here. And after the show, we'll come get you. So after the show, Hendel led everybody to this big basketball court for crazy signs. And there was like this little ledge where some of the GOs would get up and do the crazy signs. So those dances for the GMs so they could follow along. And I was like, this is great. So I jumped up on the little ledge right beside Hendel. I had no idea what I was doing. And I remember so vividly, the girls were like, Shannon, no, get down. Like, you don't know what this is. And Hendel, who didn't know me, he just saw that I had a badge on, put his hand on my shoulder and said, she stays. And I stayed up there, tried to follow along. I probably looked ridiculous, but I had the time of my life, honestly. And afterwards, Hendel introduced himself and he said, you must be the new Boutique G.O. And he said, I love your energy. Have you met Gina? And Gina was the choreographer. So he introduced me to her. And I just said, I want to do everything. So she actually made me the lead in one of the shows.
Well, this is probably, I don't recall that moment, but this is probably why we all thought, you weren't first season, because any other GO who had been like, first of all, what the heck is a crazy sign? What are these people doing? It's like a cult. And we wouldn't have jumped up, to learn it. You're down in the pit, right? You're in the mosh pit with the other sweaty people. So you were like, no. So that's probably from the get-go, from the jump, you were, no, I'm getting up there. I'm doing this. Look out,
Totally. And
wow.
I think it was amazing.
Yes. Okay. I couldn't recall, because I do recall meeting the choreographer. I couldn't remember her name because she was just finishing up her time there, correct?
That's right. So it was Gina, who was, I think she was dating Yusuf, and then who replaced her was Jessie, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Who was at the beach. She went from beach to choreographer. You don't see that too often.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the beauty of Club Med.
Yeah, that's right. All right. You're in the boutique. I assume you're looking around what other people do, but you don't want to change. You want to stay in the boutique, correct?
I when I got there, I didn't think I could do anything else. So I wanted to be in the boutique. But after a few seasons, I was interested in sports and trapeze and stuff. But in the first season, I was so overwhelmed that I was learning like all these different things, how to be in the boutique. Like, so there was that kind of more formal job, how to be in the shows. And like, I had performance experience, but not, it was totally different. It was like, you'd finish your shift at the boutique, run out, eat dinner in like 5 minutes, make friends with some of the guests, and then run backstage, get your makeup on. Like, it was crazy to wrap your head around. So I was happy to just learn the ropes of the position I was in.
Did they still have the blacklist when you were at the boutique? Those GOs that might have exceeded their means and they tried to sign for something. Did they still do that? Or did
I think you were on the blacklist? No.
Oh no, God, no! I saved it. No, not even in the first season. I always came back with money, but no, but that was a big thing back in the day. Like,
I totally remember that.
So did they have something in Cancun, like some kind of list? They might have not called it a
blacklist.
There was a black. Oh, there was.
Okay. There was definitely a blacklist where you couldn't serve certain GOs because they went over the limit.
Was it cigarettes, the usual culprit?
Yeah, and then other things that we won't mention.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So July rolls around, and this was my confusion when July rolled around. It's July 14th. It's Bastille Day. Did you know what the heck was going on? Because I sure didn't.
No,
Okay.
I did not.
Okay,
but
good.
I knew that it was a big deal.
Okay.
I knew that.
All right. So you didn't know why you were attacking a prison on the beach and throwing flower bombs. Okay. You didn't know what was going on like I did. Okay.
No, but again, like I was like, I'll wear whatever costume, I'll put whatever on my head, just tell me where to be, and then we'll figure out the logistics after.
Good attitude.
Yeah. That's what being a G.O is, I think.
Yeah. And another part of the G.O. Let's get back to those crazy signs. I'm dying to know if you had a top 3 at Cancun, because there were so many introduced there, and but there was the staples, but there were so many new ones there. And of course, each certain GOs had their own personality. So did you like any top 3 that we did there?
Not that I've ever thought about this a million times, but number 1 would be Tom McKay.
Oh yes, Tom McKay. I remember that one. Yeah,
that crazy booty shake. So much.
Yeah, that was like an upper body twerk one. That's how I recall it. It was totally upper body twerk over and over. Tom McKay. Okay, now quarter turn. Yeah, I heard after that one. my chest
and then
hurt. Okay.
Yeah, it will totally. And then you'd do the show, and then you'd be doing the crazy signs. Like, no wonder everyone was in such amazing shape, right?
Yeah.
Just like moving all the time.
We Tom McKay'd all those calories off. What other ones did you like?
Tom McKay was the first one. I think the classic Hands Up, the Club Med Hands Up, Baby Hands Up. I think that was one of my favorite ones. And then the last one was one that I think Joker did. I think he was a land sports GO, and he did the Hey Ya, the Outcast song.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was so animated, and like it was just, and the GMs loved it because he'd get up there and shake and be crazy. So I'd say those are top 3.
I'll tell you a funny story about that, because I was with Joker in Punta Cana when I broke my ankle. 2003, had to be sent home. So I'm in an HMV on St. Catherine Street, which is no longer there. And that song comes on. I immediately like the song, Hey Ya. And I say to myself, I bet you Joker is going to make a crazy sign for this. Fast forward, to Cancun, and there he is. Yep.
And I never forgot it. Like every time it comes on the radio or like one of my playlists, like I still know the moves. That's
yeah. Well, this is what happens to me. Like so are you ever in a grocery store? Do you hear a song from Club Med and you have to physically restrain yourself from moving side to side and clapping? Does this happen to you?
Totally.
Okay. Yeah. 100%. It's crazy, right? After all these years, you're still like, oh, stop it. You're in public. Another thing I want to ask you, I don't know, just occurred to me recently, this question, because it happens to me and other GOs all the time, or ex-GOs. Do you ever get the recurring dream where you're back working at Club Med, like literally like for a whole day?
Oh my God, I get that all the time.
Okay,
like, I dreamt about Club Med last night, and that's a true story. And because I'm like somebody who thinks everything happens for a reason, I have seriously considered that maybe this is a sign that I need to go back and be a GO again. Happens all the time. Seriously. That's
true. Yeah. No, these dreams still, I wouldn't say haunt me, but I still get them, which I find surprising because, I've been working at Concordia for 13 years. I never dream about Concordia. Maybe there's something there. Okay.
I have some ideas about that, but we could talk about that another time.
Well, let's get back to, despite the language barrier, you're very extroverted. So even though you had to eat meals with guests 3 times a day, that was nothing for you, correct? You weren't shy?
No, I wasn't shy. Like I was so excited to do it. And there was, I believe there was a 2 GO per table rule. So meaning, in order to disperse the workers amongst the guests, you couldn't have more than 2 GOs at a table. So it was really it was cool because you got to sit with a different member of the staff, usually. And then, you'd have to pick a table that didn't have any GOs. So you would literally go into the dining hall and you didn't know where the lunch lunch, dinner, breakfast was going to take you, because you might be sitting with people from France, or you might be sitting with people from somewhere in Canada or the States. And that was so cool. So I never had a problem with it. I loved it. Like, I met so many GMs, and it was awesome just to talk to them and hear their stories and stuff.
Now hear me out. I'm getting to the part where I'm going to ask you for a story. Now, listeners, Shannon has agreed to abide by my no swearing, no hookup stories policy, and she agreed under she agreed under mild protest. So this is correct, right, Shannon? You agreed, right? Okay,
that's totally correct.
Okay,
yes,
so do you have any funny experience, or it doesn't have to be funny, or any experience, weird thing that happened during your first season?
It's not really so much funny, but
doesn't have to be.
I have this. I mean, it's this story. There was a group. So the resort was rented out for a week.
By who?
By a group called Cookie Lee. So they sold jewelry.
Okay.
And I believe they were from the States. And the people who were the top performers, so sold a certain quota of jewelry, were gifted this trip. So they worked towards earning this trip to Cancun. And it was, I remember this so distinctly, it was a Saturday to Saturday. And I went to pick them up at the airport, and they were like, it was some women, some men. It was a total mix of these really excited salespeople who were like so thrilled to be having a trip. So unfortunately for them, it rained every single day from the moment they got there to the moment they left. So that was 7 days of pure rain. And I remember this sticks out in my head because they were the best group of people. Like, I think that was the most fun week I had in Cancun, hands down. Like, they had the best attitudes. They were so excited. Like, nothing was going to get in the way of these people enjoying their time, even though the beach was totally messed up because of the rain. And it wasn't just like rain here and there. It poured rain for 7 days straight. But I remember being in a G.O meeting while they were there, and the chief of village was saying, okay, guys, like, I really need the G.Os to shine. Like, I need you guys to step up, because we need to make this really special for the GMs. Like, we need to make this an incredible trip because of the rain, and they're all here because they earned it. And he was likening their personalities to G.Os and saying, like, they understand the power of hard work and connection. And that always stuck with me. And I just remember running with that. And I still have somebody, if you can believe it, that I met in 2004 that I'm connected to on Facebook, who worked for Cookie Lee and was a GM at that time.
Oh, that's nice.
I know.
And being first season, you probably didn't know how rare it was, because when you're, a GO with a few seasons, you learn that a week of rain is the worst thing that could happen, because usually some guests get very angry, violent. They want to know, totally. they want to know exactly when it's going to stop raining. And the only season I did where no one cared was in Australia, of course, because the Australians are the most laid back people in the world. And they said, is the bar open? I'd say yes. Think, well, what do I care if it's raining? So that's pretty rare that you got a whole group that really didn't care. That's exceptional.
Yeah, and it was so cool. And I just remember their attitudes always stuck with me, because they were like, yeah, it's raining, but we can play shuffleboard, or we can do like indoor aerobics. Like, they just had such great attitudes. And I think, as a GO, that's what it's about, is having a great attitude and facilitating an amazing trip for people. And they made that so much easier, and it was really fun to be around them.
Were there any managers, employees, managers besides Hendel that stood out to you, that made a good impression on you your first season? Could be regular GO, could be, you're a response lab service, anyone.
Oh, any kind of GO?
Yeah.
Like, I think for me, it was all the girls in the boutique. So Adri, who was the chief of boutique, she made a huge impression on me, because I was still young and kind of naive, and I had an idea of what managers would be like. But, and granted, this was like a different setting, but she made everything so much fun. Like, she'd come in and say, we have to do inventory. And, if you don't know what retail inventory is, it's like the worst thing in the world, where you like sit there with a scanner and scan every single item in the store. And we'd do that for hours. But she'd come in with mojitos, and, she made it fun for us. So that always kind of stuck out to me, because she walked the talk. So, if sometimes we'd have rehearsals at like 7 a.m. for like some of the shows. And I remember one night, it was a Thursday night, we all went to Daddy-O's, which was like the big thing at this club in Cancun. And we went with the G.Os and the GMs. And we got back at 6:30 and Adri was in the show as well. She said, go to your rooms, put your G.O shirts on, and we're all going to be at rehearsal at 7. And we showed up in the auditorium. So we've been out all night having fun. And that's kind of, I think, when I learned, like, you know, if you want people to follow you, you have to walk the talk, kind of a thing.
Wow. Okay. Let's go back to Daddy-O's. Was that your favorite club in Cancun? Did you have a favorite one?
I just went where the people went. Like, I didn't really care.
Hey, you know? there's beer, right? Doesn't matter, right?
That's right.
Okay. Did you get to meet any celebrities your year in Cancun? Or?
No, not that I can remember. I have a vague memory of a B-list celebrity, but I can't remember who it was. So it couldn't have been that exciting.
That's why there's a B-list. Okay. Right. Your season is coming, or your year is coming to an end. Did anyone ask you, hey, Shannon, where'd you like to go next? Did you have to fill out a dream sheet? I don't know if we had dream sheets back then, like your top 3 destinations. Did that happen?
Well, so in retrospect, I was like a very cocky 24-year-old, but I didn't want to go anywhere where there was kids. And the only option was Turks and Caicos. So I filled out my dream sheet with my top 3 choices as Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos. Okay, sure.
That's right. And I remember Hendel was like, Shannon, I'm like, that's what I want. And I was lucky enough to get it. So after a year in Cancun, I was sent to Turks, and I spent a couple of years there.
Okay. Did you have fun there?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Okay.
It wasn't the same as Cancun. Just because I feel like there's a magic to the first season, but it was pretty cool too.
Damn it, you stole my next question. Okay, so
sorry.
No, that's okay, because I like to ask that question. If you feel your first season was magical, or maybe you don't use that word, or would you ascribe that word to another season? So you said it. So for you, because it was your first one and the team, that one was your magical season, correct?
I would say so. Like, it's because I didn't know what to expect. So everything was like a new experience for me. And, it was so, I just remember being like, I don't know what this is. I don't know where it's going, but I like it. And it's so much fun. And when I got to my second season, I had a blast, but it was just the first season, it sticks in my heart as something that was really special. And I still have connections with a lot of the people that I spent my first season with.
You're still in touch with some of the boutique team?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, totally. Great. Yeah. So, and as you went on in Club Med, did you find yourself comparing your seasons to your first?
I mean, yeah, it was more like the team, like the boutique team. Like, we had this crazy, like you said at the beginning, it was just a lot of heavy hitters on that team. And, I remember we made tank tops with puff paints, and we put our names on the tank tops, and we put boutique, what, because that's what we would always say. And like, we wore them out in public. And, that was, I never found another connection like that with a team. Like, I found people that I was friends with in the team, but not a team that came together the way that my first season team did.
Was it you that started the what? Or
I don't remember, but I would love to take credit for it. I'm going to say it was the group effort.
Well, because I always recall you guys would, like, the boutique team would charge and force to crazy signs after the show, but I always remember you leading the charge and doing the what. So I thought, what? So I thought it was you. But anyway, I associate you with what's because it was a great, because we know, like, boutique teams here. Okay, look out.
Boutique in the house. We had so much fun.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us from your first season?
There's one thing I will say that was so crazy.
Yes, please.
So basically, I've kept up with looking at TripAdvisor, I go down memory lane sometimes, and I'll look at TripAdvisor, what people say about Cancun, Club Med. And I was reading recent reviews, and this was like obviously before the pandemic. I think it was in 2019. And I was reading a review that somebody had left in 2019, and it's so crazy. So they were like, oh, we love Cancun. We've been coming here for years. All the G.Os are amazing. Our favorite team was 2004 Boutique. And we loved Shannon and her energy. And so I'm reading this, like, however many years later, like 15 years later, about somebody who, was writing a review in 2019 who remembered me and remembered my team. And I just thought that was the craziest thing. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Wow. This is an incredible story. That's wow. Talk about flattering. Jeez.
I felt famous. I feel
sure,
famous.
Especially from the amount of time that passed,
Totally.
Wow. And back in Cancun, did it ever happen where you couldn't handle it, but you handled it?
Don't handle it. I still handle it, like
you do? Okay.
Yeah, that's something I've learned as a takeaway.
So you say like a WWHD, what would Handel do? That's what you ask yourself, right?
what would Handel do? Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
I hope he listens to these. I'm still trying to get him to come on.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Okay, this has been a really great time. I really want to thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm so happy you came on. Really happy.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, if you, and maybe one last question, if you know of any GO, or if there's any GOs or future GOs listening, should they try it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I was so flattered when you asked me. And then of course we had that little chat, just about the ground rules and some of the things that you might talk about.
Yes. You agreed to the no hookup stories and no swearing, but
not that I ever did any of those things.
No.
But, no. But when you and I chatted, just to talk about this experience, after I got off the phone, I went through, all my old pictures and I wrote things down that I remembered. And it was such an amazing kind of trip down memory lane, because nobody in my life, aside from ex-GOs, really asked about my experience as a GO. They don't, they can connect to it the way that somebody like you could, or probably some of the people that listen to this or would come on as a potential guest. So I totally recommend it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, Shannon. Really appreciate it. And everyone, that was Miss Shannon from Toronto. We will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.